Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Since I think I have already told that I'm really interested in history, and in this semester, I raised a history club, and we'll talk about like different figures, and also some affairs in the history. But really, unfortunately, like our club does not got the permission to open because of some certain reason before the club fair. So it means that it is really difficult for me to find new members. But finally, I've succeeded to find members in our grade, yes, in G2 grade, like for around 10 to 15 people, and that allow me like to open the club successfully. And since I am studying history and most of people sign up is history students, so I tend like to talk about something that was not included in our history lesson, because history as a humanity club, because of it is an humanity club, so it may not include all the information that we need or some historical fact that we need in the book, because there are just too many, and we need to search for some certain like historical fact which meets our arguments. And also the IGCSE, like they get the question there, some are like pretty normal in paper 4 history questions, but also some are really difficult that you may like just find 1 to 2 lines of description in the book. So like the content of the whole history club would talk about those figures that was not included in the history book, or just shortly mentioned, briefly mentioned. And because we are studying Depth Study 2 Germany, so we will begin our first lecture of Weimar Republic. Of course, we will talk about some Russian affair later, and also for this video, I would like to just do the rehearsal for one time in the YouTube, and then finally give out my full presentation in our club. So this is just a rehearsal, and I think it will be pretty have a decent quality. So now let's get started. So today I will talk about the figure Paul von Hindenburg. So who is Paul von Hindenburg? We will discover him later, but of course we make some sense that he is a figure of the Weimar Republic period. So, first, let us look at his full name. You may say like Hindenburg is his name, and maybe Paul von Hindenburg is full name, but actually it is not. His full name is Paul Ludwig Hans Anton von Beneckendorf and von Hindenburg. I don't know if I pronounce it correctly because I do not know how to speak German. Yes, really long name. And the reason why I think I will use him as the first figure we will study is because I found out the question in 2024 paper discussed the importance of President Hindenburg. But unfortunately, we do not have this figure in our history book for like even not occupied for half a page. So maybe I think I will talk about at least first a brief introduction of Paul von Hindenburg. So now let's get started to discuss the importance of him. Now it leads to a really formal question. Who is Paul von Hindenburg? He is well known for the second and also the last president of the Weimar Republic. And after he died, of course, we know that it is the period of time of the rise of Adolf Hitler. But have we ever think of like why Hindenburg has become the president? And this leads us like we need to discuss a brief introduction of his life, of his whole political career, of also like the methods he take to win the election, and also the policy he made during his period of president. So these are the things that we need to find out in this period, in this episode. Oh, by the way, if you guys have time, I really recommend you to look through the book Out of My Life, which is a biography of Paul von Hindenburg about his whole life. Of course, I have the PDF version and have already read about it for a few pages. And I can't consider this book as a really outstanding book, but it truly gives us like the vivid character of Paul von Hindenburg, and the main case why we need to read this is they give us some sense of why he made those decisions about, the famous unrestricted submarine warfare and something like that. So it is worth reading, but it may not be as exciting as, some novels. Like, I recently purchased a novel called The Enchanted April. So, of course, because this is some historical fact that we can cite, and it is really worth reading, I have to say. So, if you want to talk about Paul von Hindenburg, there is a figure that we cannot get rid of, which is possibly like his dwarf, which is Ludendorff. And he acts as a really important figure and contribute significantly for like the election of president of Hindenburg. So let me first introduce Hindenburg and then introduce Ludendorff. Hindenburg is the last president of Weimar Republic during 1925 to 1934, and the reason why, like, in 1934, like, he was no longer the president is because he died. So, why Hindenburg as president? So, actually, before the first retirement in 1911, Hindenburg, retired from the army, from the troop. He only fought, for some really small wars. He has only an honorable but not distinguished career. He was probably, just a leader, but we cannot consider him as something like general something, or even, the lead of the land army. Of course not. But after he called back into service in 1914, he became the nominal superior of Ludendorff, and this is the case. So why he was back into service is because the World War I began. So why I say Ludendorff in this period contributes significantly. So let us please look at what he did. The first thing, after Hindenburg became the nominal superior of Ludendorff, he started the Battle of Tannenberg, which is from 23rd August 1914 to 30 August 1914. The result is clear. It is a complete destruction of Russian Second Army by German Eighth Army, which is an encirclement. So, but actually the outcome brings considerable reputation for Hindenburg, but not Ludendorff, because Hindenburg is the superior of Ludendorff, and although it is nominal, but all people in Germany only confess that he is the superior. So he gained reputation because of the first win, and now I think it is necessary for us to talk about the Battle of Tannenberg. So if you do look at those history resources, you will find out that the Battle of Tannenberg actually take place in Olsztyn. So why this war is called the Battle of Tannenberg? This is a bit anecdote, I think. So how does this war get its name? So actually the case is that 500 years earlier, Germany failed the war with probably some with Russian in Tannenberg, and also Olsztyn is also 30 kilometers west of Tannenberg. So actually, the Hindenburg used its name to become actually the second battle of Tannenberg, and it is this name that calls Hindenburg gain of reputation because they think, apart from like Ludendorff lead to the victory, Hindenburg know what they need, which is for avenge, like to completely destroy the Russian army. So of course it is necessary for us to think of why Germany won this battle. A good question, isn't it? Valid question. We know that even after World War One, but of course it is pre-war, Germany is the second largest industrial power in the world. So actually, they have really advanced railway movements. Really fast. So how fast is it? If we compare this data to Russia, actually, the First Army is in the, I would say, left-hand side of German army. And the Second Army of Russian is at the right-hand side of German army. The German ace troop first delay the First Army of Russian, then use the railway to destroy the Second Army of Russian with encirclements. And within just a few days, they went back to the First Army. Like, the First Army didn't even know, like, the Second Army has been completely destroyed. So this is something really scary. The first thing, of course, apparently, it is, fast railway movements of Germany because it allowed them to transport military forces within days. But the real thing that scared us is, like, within a few days, they can destroy a whole army of Russian. Although we can say Russian is full of resources and not lack of manpower, but it is something that we need to feel afraid and worried. But of course, only disadvantage can bring Germany to won this war within several days. So what are others? The second is no encode of radio message from Russia. This is actually a stupid action because if you send those really secret message, like with no encode, like Germany can obviously, even like I would say our residents, if we have a radio, we can listen to what their movement is. And with no code being generated, the German officer can completely notice what the Russian troops want to do after spot them and react with their actions. So, this is a really key term of why they won the war. And also, the last thing, but not least, is the dispute between Samsonov, the Second Army commander of Russia, and Zelensky, the first commander of Russia troop. So, why the disputes between them would cause the total failure? If we stand on the hindsight, we can obviously see that Zelensky is then on the right position because he has commanded Samsonov to retreat from German territories. But Samsonov don't think like the situation is bad and they can even destroy the German army. So actually, after some compromise from Zelensky, of course Samsonov only allowed the 6th Corps to move to Biskupek. Only agreed, but fortunately that corps becomes the only one that got rid of encirclements, but also caused huge losses. Yes, and after that, Samsonov is suicide, of course. He had no face to face the whole Russia, the blame of, Zelensky. And that's the 3 key terms that leads to the failure of Russia and the victory of Germany in the Battle of Hindenburg. And of course, just as what I have said, the win bring up the confidence of the residents, and it all belongs to Hindenburg, but not Ludendorff. And just like what I have told, you may wonder, is the German railway truly that quick? Allow them to within days first delay the First Army, then destroy and encircle the Second Army, and then back to the First Army. So now, this is the proof, a solid proof. It is the Battle of Masurian Lake, taking place the 2nd September 1914 to 16 September 1914. It is during the Russian invasion of Prussia. So, it is still the 8th Army led by Ludendorff has pushed Russia's First Army out of Germany. So you see, within just 30 August 1914, the end of Battle of Hindenburg, and the 2nd September 1914, which is the beginning of Battle of Masurian Lake, the Germany troop actually only takes 3 days to transfer from one side to the other front. And also, this time, Russian failure. But also, this time maybe the Russians are more clever and more wise, because here comes the Russian 10th troop, which prevents some further progresses, like the further progresses from the German army was being hampered by the newly formed 10th Army. And also the loss is serious, but just like what I have said, Russia has the largest army in the world, restored manpower loss quickly. Few weeks after, it launched a new attack. But that does not have effect as for Hindenburg, because they do not attack their army. So, what we can learn from the scene is, the Germany troops are truly moving really quick. And why you may say like the Russian 10th Army can support the Russian First Army, but you see only the disputes like the First Army and the Second Army start from the same point, but why the disputes was caused that like the First Army do not help the Second Army, and how did the German troops ensure that while they are attacking the Second Army, the First Army wouldn't come and encircle them? Actually, it is the reason I've mentioned. No encode of radio. So they have already been aware that the First Army is like moving like really oppositely against the Second Army. So they do have time to after encircle the Second Army and come back. And that is something they learned from the radio. So we can see the importance of that we need to encode something even in our daily life, that our privacy should not be easily seen by others. And that's the key thing. And for other things, I think we need to start a new episode, because I don't think like the duration is suitable for us, like during having lunch to take a watch. And really thank you for your support. And if you can, please subscribe to my channel. And thank you. Wish you all have a nice day.